Hey everybody, Medium Marisa Liza Pell here. How you guys all doing? Real interesting because none of you have actually seen this before. This is the first time that we are going live from the actual lounge. That's a different lounge than you guys have ever seen. So we're unveiling the new lounge and unveiling the headphones. We're unveiling the lights behind me. We're unveiling the artwork, everything. And we have some jazz in the background. We got you guys coming on. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Bebasita. Love seeing you guys on. We're late night tonight. We're usually not late night. We're usually in the middle of the day. I got headphones on. I got an actual microphone. We got overlays. We got a lounge. You guys are not used to this. You guys used to be walking down the street or sitting on a porch. So this is a big change for most of you. So I'm really, really excited. I have the jazz in the background. Sarah, how you doing? Thanks for checking that out and saying it looks good. I'm sure you've been listening before. I actually made these graphics up here. Hope you guys like them for the lounge. Hi, everybody. Hi, Jim. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, you guys are in for a treat tonight. And I am in for a treat because I haven't been able to talk about this part of the industry with many people for a really long time. So I am just very excited. Last week, I was on the Firelands podcast, I guess. And we were not planning to do any readings on that show. And I was actually connected to these guys through a family member. And these guys are actually like in the window cleaning industry, which I find fascinating. Not only cleaning the windows, but also specializing in the window cleaning products. And they do paranormal investigation stuff. And they're like veterans in the industry. So I'm like so excited. I see TJ in the like waiting area and he's laughing at me because he's probably thinking I'm like blowing his head up too much, but I just can't wait to bring them on. So so all you guys are here. It's so nice to see you. I hope you guys like the new unveil. I also have Hello Kitty here. Yes, love Hello Kitty. I also have my bouncy balls, vintage, in case anybody wants to play bouncy ball. We got a couple things here but most of all, we got those twinkly lights and the jazz, which I know you guys are all excited about. So without further ado, I want to talk to you guys about Jason and TJ. But before I get there, I just wanted to say that we weren't planning on doing a reading. I know I posted this reading with Jason. It ended up being, I guess, he knows a lot of psychics and mediums. So I thought that he actually had a lot of readings on air, but I guess he didn't. This is the first reading he had on air and it kind of like shocked him. So we and TJ too, which was awesome. I loved his reaction. He was just laughing the whole time. I love TJ's laugh. It makes me laugh, it makes me smile. His laugh is like very contagious. So I'm going to read to you a little bit about Jason and TJ of the Firelands podcast, give them a little intro. Then I'm going to bring them on. And I want you guys to know that if you have any questions about paranormal investigation, what these guys have been doing, I know I have questions. Please answer the questions. Ask the questions. All right. So Jason and TJ grew up living right next to each other. In their teens, they chased local folklore stories in hopes of having a paranormal experience. So I guess they were looking for stuff. Like they were looking for Bigfoot. They were looking for stuff, and I guess they found it. In 1999, Jason moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and began a more serious path in paranormal investigating. And TJ, his wife, and another childhood friend started paranormal investigating as well. So I didn't know that, TJ. I guess your wife went along with you. That's pretty cool. Jason has since been a traveling speaker, event coordinator, and podcaster. In early 2020, Jason and TJ decided to take their paranormal interests to the intranet. Yes, the internet. They developed a weekly podcast called the Firelands podcast. I'm not sure what the Firelands are, but I'm assuming it's somewhere where paranormal things happen. Okay, like where the fires just come out of the bushes and God comes down and shows himself. It's probably not what it is, but I'm just, in my mind, in my fantasy, they're going to destroy my fantasy of what it is, but that's my fantasy of what that is. The podcast consists of topics including, but not limited to, serial killers, okay, paranormal experiences, aliens, conspiracies, and missing persons. Jason and TJ currently have 13 podcast episodes, and it's growing every week. They will warn you, this is not your mother podcast. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it means it's not your mothership, like the mother alien ship. But I can be their mother alien ship because I came in and I'm a little bit weirder already. So Jason and TJ are 2 years apart in age. I don't know why that's important, but I guess we have to know that Jason is older than TJ. Okay, we've established that. And TJ is really cool. That's what it says in his bio. And Jason and TJ's mother still live next door to each other to this day. That's awesome. That's so cool. So without further ado, I want to bring on these lovely, lovely guys and introduce them. Hi, guys.
Hello. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having us on, Marissa.
Yes, it's awesome.
Oh my God.
I want to start out right away by saying the Firelands is just what the area that we live in is what it's called, the Firelands.
Okay.
Firelands area. It's
just so before it became Sandusky and Erie County, it was the Firelands area.
Yeah.
So, and that was way back in the 1800s, I believe.
Yeah. So like the hospital around here, the hospitals are called the Firelands Hospitals and Firelands College and stuff like that. So we just called it the Firelands. I mean, because it sounds cool.
All right. Well, I wanted to make that up in my head. So in my mind, it's some sort of like paranormal field of dreams and experiences.
I think your explanation was awesome.
So that's how it was in my mind. Yeah, I don't want to think of it like other than that.
Right.
Yeah, your explanation completely worked.
Yeah, I would have been fine with that.
Perfectly spot on. Yeah. Okay. Hey, and the warning about this not being your mother's podcast is just that we are not the place that you go to watch a well-polished,
we're not
shiny product. Yeah. We are vulgar at times. And we get off on beaten paths and talk and stray off of subjects and get in tangents about stuff that
we're super guilty of that. We're super guilty of like, this is what our topic's going to be tonight, and then we'll go somewhere else. It just happens.
Yeah, we didn't plan to read Jason last time, so I'm wondering, Jason, after you had your reading on air, this was the first reading that you had. Did anything kind of like pop up for you after that? Like things kind of come together. That sometimes happens when you're kind of in the mix of things and you don't realize kind of what's going on. And then after you kind of like get offline, you think about it. Did anything kind of come together for you after the reading?
I don't know if anything came together per se. You hit on so many good topics in just a short amount of time that were already happening in my life. There were things that I took away from that, and I investigated, I guess is a good way to put it. And I did spend a lot of time thinking about me putting my walls down and being susceptible to people with negative energies and all that. So I have pulled back and kind of put my defenses back up a little bit, and I'm kind of just a little bit more weary-eyed about things, just since you told me that I needed to be that way. But yeah, here's the thing. Since that episode, I think that everybody who knows me was probably as excited as I was, because most everybody who knows me knows that I'm a wall to read. And so everybody was just completely tripping out, because never in any of my career in the paranormal in 15 years has anybody ever just come in and dropped the mic like that on me. So, it was great. It was surprising. It was fantastic. Every day I've spent the majority of my day thinking about it. It's just great. And I spoke with probably at least 20 individuals about that. And I mean, I can't tell you how many messages I got and people just going, oh, wow, from, even my own mother. And, some of my closest friends and stuff like that, people in the industry were just like, holy crap, so I certainly appreciate it. It was definitely a powerful moment for me.
Well, the moment that I thought was really cool was when I was like, there's a dog coming through from the other side. And you're like, no, I don't have a dog. I'm not a dog lover. And then I'm like, there's this Yorkie mix. And TJ just starts laughing and putting his hand over his face. And he's like, dude, it's your dog from when you were like a kid. And so like, how do you feel knowing that your dog from when you were a child is like in spirit hanging around you? and helping you through this difficult time in your
You
life.
know what? Let me tell you something. It was really, really funny that you should say that, because today, actually all week long, I've had like my crews have had like a 5 a.m. start time. So we've been working on a construction cleanup job. And so it's just one of those jobs where you guys are all spread out. Everybody's got their headphones in and they're just listening to music and just grooving with the day. And today we ended the job. We got it all finished. So I sent my crews out to go do other work. And then I stayed behind and cleaned up. So as I grabbed the last ladder and the last bucket and started to get ready to walk out of the door, and I was thinking about your podcast at that point, I literally looked behind me and said, "Come on, Smokey." You walked out of the door.
So good.
If anybody knew that I did that, they'd think that I was absolutely crazy.
So good.
Can I ask if it gave you any relief to know that your dog from the other side was with you?
I don't know about relief, surprise more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he was hit by a car while we were on vacation, unfortunately. So for me, it was the very first animal as a child that I had and absolutely loved that I lost. So I took that loss very, very hard.
Yeah.
So and even as an adult, I guess once in a great while I think about him and a few of my other dogs, like when they say, hey, set your password, and then they want to ask you to select a specific question. What was the name of your first dog?
Right. I always put Daisy.
Right. Daisy. Exactly. See, so I do think about it from time to time, but that was probably the least impactful of the entire reading, but absolutely probably the most surprising part of it too, because, I was just,
I would have never have guessed that. I'm sorry.
I would have, me either.
Every time I think about it, just the way it happened, everything just kind of just fell right into place. And it kind of peeled my wig back. It was awesome.
That was the biggest thing is it wasn't so much the reading, it was the validation from TJ's part.
Yeah.
TJ does know, pretty much. I mean, he doesn't know all the details, but he knows what's going on.
I know enough to know.
He's known me long enough, probably damn near better than just about anybody. So his reaction to how you were, what you were coming through with was the grand slam of it all.
And I never met you guys. This was like our first time. Time meeting TJ. I talked to Jason before the podcast just to test our mics, but we haven't met before. So I guess from what you were saying from the podcast, TJ, you were saying that most of the times when you have a psychic or medium on your show, you're the one that gets all the messages.
No, I know. I kind of, when we were going into this, when we went into this, I mean, we've only had one other person on. We've never had anyone do a reading on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
So when we went into this initially, I thought that I would be the one for sure, because, Jason, I know how Jason is. I just never thought that he would be the one to pull something through ever. It just never crossed my mind. And for it to be that, right on the level, it was pretty cool. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. When you talk about
for sure my grandma was going to come through and be like, "Yo, you need to tell that dude to quit digging in the backyard." I could have swore, grandma would be super mad about that pool I just put in, for sure, because I live in grandma's house. I thought for sure grandma would be like, "Yo, you need to scold him." You know what I mean?
But usually it's the person who needs it the most.
Right.
And it seems like Jason needed some help.
Came through instead. Smokey
from the other side. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. It was awesome.
So what would you say, Jason, was the most powerful part of the message that came through from the other side for you? Like what really hit you the most, and what kind of changed things for you a little bit, or maybe how you felt from the other side being around you?
For me, especially needing to know from a counseling standpoint how I should be dealing with things right now, with so much chaos and so much stuff going on in my life at this point. So the fact that you hit on that to begin with, okay, and then you continue to give me that advice, I immediately took that advice, because I knew that what was coming through for you had seen what was going on inside of me. So the best part of that would have been that advice that you gave me when you said, "Hey, look, now is not the time to be opening the floodgates and allowing people in. Now is
because
when
you were
need to be
doing
standing back and protecting yourself.
Yeah, you've been doing like the exact opposite of that for like almost a month now. You've been trying to be a little more open and letting more people in, and she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Pump the brakes.
Transparent.
It's just like everything is, I mean, it just fell right into play. Everything you said. It just, I mean, and that I think that part was really weird for me, is because I mean, just him shifting gears and you telling him that, hey, I don't think you should be shifting gears right now. I kind of feel like you're opening up and you probably shouldn't. I mean, that was pretty profound, man. That's really crazy.
Yeah, your reaction was just hilarious. Like you just kept laughing and laughing, and I'm like, this guy is like, these reactions are great. Yeah, and like you're not somebody that I don't think is like impressed like often, or like
neither one of us.
Like,
neither one of us are very impressed about much, except for ourselves. We're very impressed with ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, I wanted to focus on you guys a little bit, and I wanted to ask you guys like, what have you been doing the last 20 years as far as the paranormal investigation? Like, do you go out in the field? Do you still go on investigations? What is your part that you're I know you guys were part of conventions. Like, what is your part that you're playing now in the field? And are you still conducting investigations? Are you still investigating yourselves? You know,
maybe I should start, because Jason will have a lot more to talk about than me when it comes to this subject. But I started out, just with a natural interest in the paranormal. I wanted to go out and check out haunted places, not only for, affirmation of an afterlife, but also because I'm a history buff and I really dig history, and I feel like a man out of time. You know what I mean? Like I should have been born way before I was right now. I kind of feel like, I should have been born back in the 1800s. I feel like I fit in more so, you know what I mean? I'm just so obsessed with history. And I was into it really heavy for about 4 or 5 years. And then I kind of fell out of love, not so much out of love with it, but wasn't obsessed with it as much. And I kind of focused more on my career and stuff like that. Than me and Jason kind of, our career paths joining, Jason kind of reignited that fire in me. You know what I mean? And I started, getting into it more. And now look, we're doing a podcast now about the paranormal. We're going out and doing paranormal investigations together.
Yeah, we're in almost identical industries, damn near.
Right.
So it's really weird how some 25 plus years later,
right,
we still 180 miles away from each other, we still have so much similarities between each other.
And me and Jason are all about synchronicities. So, and it just synchronicities, and it just kind of, my love for the paranormal kind of like reignited inside. I like to shoot YouTube videos. I do a lot of YouTube videos about the stuff that I do for a living. And I've always been obsessed with, documentaries. And I'm like, man, I want to make a documentary. And Jason's like, what we should do? You should come down and do this, and we'll do a documentary about this house down in Southern Ohio. It'll be super awesome. And I was like, we started talking more. I was like, you know what? We should do a podcast, because me and you can, talk just about anything. It's true crime, whatever. And then a friend of ours asked us to do an investigation of his home. And then me and Jason are right back together again doing paranormal investigations. So, and here we are now on your awesome live stream.
Yeah. And can I ask both of you, I know I met a lot of paranormal investigators in my time. They seem to be kind of a different vibe, like very scientific, geeky, kind of like introvert, kind of difficult to deal with, a different vibe altogether. You guys seem different. Like you're not like,
well, I think that's why we started doing what we're doing. That's why we started to do the podcast, because Jason and I both take a very measured and scientific approach to things that we're trying to do. We're trying to find credible evidence and talk about credible topics with facts, not, so much rumor and myth, but, take that stuff and try to apply some kind of evidence to that. You know what I mean? And try to take a serious approach to the subject matter, but our delivery is probably out of the ordinary, so we're not really clinical, as I guess you would say.
So are you guys both believers? Have you seen enough out there through your investigations where you're like, there's definitely an afterlife. There's absolutely no doubt in your mind. You don't need to be convinced.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what that afterlife is,
Not sure.
it's still left up to an interpretation.
Right.
I mean, as far as what we're dealing with, are we just dealing with running around leftover conscious energy?
Mm-hmm.
Are we dealing with a multiple dimension?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is the afterlife? Is that the afterlife? Maybe there is no afterlife, and the energy is the one thing that stays.
Right.
Maybe the afterlife is reincarnation. The one that I have the biggest problem with, I don't want to say biggest problem, but the most questions with is organized religion.
Right. Because probably every path leads to the same place or just at a different school.
Yeah. I mean,
it?
it's kind of the way it is. I mean, there's 6,000 deities out there throughout history. And I don't understand why everybody's has to be different. You know, I don't want to get into that because this is not a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
We can do science versus religion for days. Yeah. I did it for years.
I would like to take a few questions because I find there's a couple questions here that I'm interested to see what your take is on them. I know what my take is on them. This is the one that kind of stuck out for me. Sarah, we have a ghost in my in-laws' house that only women can see. Why, in your field, do you think there's a ghost that men can't see and women can't see? I find this question very interesting.
Well, you know, there's a kind of a two-part answer to that as far as I'm concerned. I do honestly believe that ghosts only project themselves on things that they're interested in for whatever reason. Now, we do know that personalities of people, when they pass over, they carry those same characteristics in the afterlife with them, right?
Right.
So, you know, to me, I would be a little guarded at first. You know, it could be a sweetheart grandfather. It could be something like that. It could be the individual people. Women being more susceptible and more open to those experiences than men naturally, because men are naturally bigger skeptics.
Right.
Okay. Well, this question I had is kind of like leading into kind of piggybacking off this one is sometimes there's homes where there's bad luck for the men in the homes, but it takes care of the women. What is that all about? Like where men who move into the homes, all these bad things happen to them, and the women who are in the homes are protected. Like, wouldn't you think that it would be just anyone in the house? Like, how,
I would not. Yeah, I would say that.
Work?
I would definitely say that's a female ghost,
Right.
Female ghost.
Who probably wasn't treated so well in the physical life. And you know, maybe that has to do with it. Maybe that has a lot to do with it. How people individually are treated. You'd almost be that way with the physical life. You know, why would the women be treated so well and the men be mistreated so badly? Well, is it a woman who was abused or something in her physical life when she was alive and just feels a need to outwardly protect other females that are on the property and maybe be defensive towards the males that are in the vicinity as well?
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's just a question. We have another question here from Beth from YouTube. Are you working on any cases now? If so, tell us about one.
Well, first of all, real quick before we get too far, there's an overwhelming amount of people in the chat room, so I just want to say thank you for everybody that stopped in. You guys are really awesome, especially some of our listeners and some of my closest friends. Lindsay, how you doing? Amanda Messenberg, thanks for coming in. Jen Derritt, of course. TJ's awesome, lovely wife. Hey, and another thing too that I want to add to the podcast, I introduced TJ to the woman of his dreams.
Is this Jen? This Jen? This is your wife right here?
Yes.
Hi, Jen. We put you up there, Tai. Is that your nickname?
No, I think that's my cousin. My cousin's wife is watching.
Yeah.
So
Jen is the beautiful side of the relationship. She makes really good.
Yeah.
Hey, Jen, is TJ difficult to deal with, or is he just like as much fun as he is on the podcast? Is he a difficult guy? Is he a moody guy? We need to know more about him.
I
That's a
am
loaded
moody.
question.
I'm definitely moody. I will admit that I'm moody.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
That's awesome. So,
So let me go back a little bit because I never did kind of get to give you the run through of kind of what I've been involved in for the last 15 to 20 years. So it started off in 2004 when I'm in Fort Wayne, and I start dragging around my drunken buddies into abandoned houses.
nice, the abandoned places.
Well, I didn't want to go alone, and it was about the only way you can do it was to go out and get shit faced and find a place that, I'm sorry for the French, by the way.
It's all right. Do what you need to do. Just
Okay.
because I'm blonde doesn't mean I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, I just apologize to any listeners that might be offended by it. That may come out a few times.
Oh, they don't care. They've heard everything out of my mouth.
So fast forward to 2006, 2007. I was involved in a paranormal community, but didn't have my feet set in it, but just knew a lot of people and met a lot of the right people at a very early time. And in 2008, started my very first team, In Nomine Paranormal, which is Latin for in the name of paranormal. It was a completely science-based paranormal team. We had enough equipment that we could have ran security for a casino in Vegas. And what it ended up being was a ton of work. And it lost its luster. There was no fun left in it. And, I stepped away from the team and formed a smaller, more core group of investigators. And even then I'm still investigating with those people today. They're just amazing individuals. But along those lines, I traveled around and did a lot of lectures and speaking at a lot of cons, conventions, universities. Then I started to get into event coordinating and promoting. So got some pretty large paranormal events under my belt there. And now I've kind of shifted gears now. I don't have to stay as busy these days to feel like that I still need to be a fixture of this community. I've been in the Midwest long enough to have a piece of just about everything. There's not many people around the Midwest who don't know who I am. And it's just because I work a lot with a lot of individuals. But now, we're shifted gears and I really love putting on free events. So we have authors and TV personalities. We have psychics, people who just read tarot cards. We have metaphysical vendors. I mean, all these people who are willing to come out and be part of these free events, free of charge. So you get these celebrities that come out once or twice a year for these big events, and they're huge draws because they're free to attend. So excuse me. So these events are hosted at a haunted location. You can bring the kids, you can bring the family. It's free to attend. You get to meet all of these people that you see on television, get copies of books, get them autographed. And you can stick around that night and do a paranormal investigation of that location.
So you have these events in a haunted location?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the last one that where was the last place that you went to that would you say is like a memorable case that you guys worked on that was pretty intense? Can you describe like what you saw, what you found?
Yeah.
Something that we could kind of just visualize.
Yeah, I was actually I took somebody past the house on Elizabeth Street in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I still talk to the person. I'm still friends with the homeowner today. Back in 2009, they'd called us to do an investigation in the house because they were having problems with seeing shadow figures in the house. But the problem was that when they would have these experiences, everything in the house would go dead battery wise. So the mom and the dad kind of coped with it for a while and it was okay. But then the children started having these occurrences. So a friend of the family contacted me and I got a hold of them. And so from the very first time that we went there, we came in and we started doing baseline readings of everything. So first thing we want to do is we want to measure as much of the atmospheric readings as we possibly can. So we bring in a full onboard Doppler system that takes all of this snapshots of all of the outside and inside like thermic and temperature readings simultaneously for comparison. And then we run tri-field meters, EMF meters, and things like that around the house, Geiger counters at that point in time. Pretty much everything. And one of the things that we realized this place was there was just for 1 minute you would have no EMF readings whatsoever, and then the next minute it would be off the chain. I mean,
Wow.
it was so high that it was maxing out our EMF detectors. And so I go to sit out and take a break. And I'm sitting with one of the main guys on my team, who happens to be an engineer, by the way. We had 2 engineers on the team, and we were trying to wrap our heads around all this EMF activity that was in the house, because it either caused a fear cage, meaning if there's a higher concentration of EMF in a centralized location, it could cause a person to not actually experience hauntings, but to get the nauseousness, the feeling like you're being watched, and create those fear symptoms. Okay. But that wasn't the problem. They weren't isolated. It moved around. We couldn't figure out what it was. And then as we looked across the street, there's a huge substation. I mean, literally 50 feet off the step. So we pulled the EMF meters out there, and they chirped, and just the batteries died immediately. So what we ended up doing while we were digging into the history of this house, trying to figure out if there was anything that we should be flagged about, we sent people down and looked for like the 80-year-old lady on the street. And we said, hey, tell me what happened in that house. Something happened in that house that you can remember that was traumatic. Somebody died, something happened. And immediately the lady said that there was a girl that disappeared in Fort Wayne, and that guy was a main suspect before he died.
Oh, wow.
So, but that was just it. That's all we knew about it. We didn't know much more about it, but what we do is we come back in a couple more times after interviewing the family. We actually set up an investigation that night. Now, this particular investigation, we usually have a homeowner in. Both of these homeowners left for the night. Okay. The amount of paranormal activity in here was really, really crazy, because the first thing that they told me is that the kids were seeing a grown man, but they had a feeling that there was a little girl that was there. And the reason why I thought there was a little girl there was because when they wrapped up all these toys from their 4-year-old and no longer played with all these toys, they put them down in the basement. And like a week or 2 later, the bag was not ripped open like a 4-year-old would rip them open, but the bag was untied, and you can see where the My Little Ponies were sitting out in the little drag marks in the dirt, like somebody was sitting down in the basement in this dark corner playing with these toys. Now, I got to tell you, the basement had a deadbolt on it, and plus it had a chain latch, plus it had a lock on the doorknob. It was not a place that the kids went. I can tell you now, my team was creeped out by this basement. Okay.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But when we got there that night and we did a walkthrough of everything with the team so we can familiarize ourselves with the house and get equipment set up and all of that, we turned around to go back up the stairs that 4 of us just walked down. And right on the step was a hammer, a pair of pliers, and I think it was a utility knife. And I stopped and I said, oh, and he said, don't touch that. This is the homeowner. I said, what's going on? He says, that's the second time that's been on that step today.
So nobody put it there.
No, but while we were down there, it wasn't there, because
Weird.
we all would have had to step over this. I mean, if we would have stepped on these things, we would have broke our ankles going on the step. But there they appeared. Okay. So we go into the investigation. I'm with one of my investigators. I'm in the basement. We have cameras pointing straight down the hallway into the kitchen, looking right where the basement door is. We heard footsteps above us. Now, we know that half of our team is at the other end of the house, so we knew that nobody was in the kitchen. But I radio up to the engineer at the command center. I said, who's in the kitchen? He said, that's a negative. Nobody's in the kitchen. Nobody's on that side of the house. I said, well, we can hear the footsteps above us and the floor creaking. And he says, there's nothing. I'm literally looking right at the kitchen right now. I can see your basement door. There's nothing there. But the basement door opens and then it closes. And you can continue to hear the footsteps and the floorboards creaking below the steps as it comes down. And I'm looking in the camera and I've got night vision. I can't see it. I can hear it. And we can hear a man's breathing, but we can't see anything under night vision or anything. Okay. Plus we had full spectrum cams. We were unable to see anything. So we sat there with the hair was just raised on the back of our neck, because we caught it on camera, the door opening and closing by itself. So fast forward to that.
Wish we had that video to show tonight. That would be cool.
And I wish I would have
that video clip.
I could have brought on some really great clips that would have literally made your hair stand up. But so fast forward about an hour, I send another team down there. And I tell the two girls that are down there, I said, when you come down here, I'd like for you to focus on the little girl aspect. I said, I don't know what happened with the basement door, but whatever that was doesn't seem to be responding to anything. So they're down there, and the first thing you hear my case manager say is she's talking to this little girl. She addresses this little girl. She says, well, do you like it down here in the basement? And clear as day, you hear a little girl say, not really. Okay.
In your digital recorder.
No. They heard it audibly with their ears.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, the way that I taught them to do is if you ever hear anything audibly, try to debunk it on audio so you can get all of that.
Right.
The only other person that was down there that night was a guy named Rob Stone, and Rob Stone had a shoulder-mounted camera because we were filming for a DVD at that point. And he was just a cameraman standing there quietly. And she asked him, she said, Rob, did you say anything? And Rob's like, no. And that EVP was actually captured on two different voice recorders completely apart by 30 feet at two different opposite ends of the basement. Okay. So while this is going on, myself and my other fellow investigator that was just down the basement, we're in the bedroom, and I'm asking for it to physically move something in the room. I said, I'd like for you to physically move something or physically tap on something in here. And as soon as I stopped talking, there was a snap right in the middle of the room, right in front of our faces. I mean, snap, almost like an electricity snap, like snap. And you hear it on the audio, and you hear me just start laughing. I mean, not like a guttural laugh, but I'm shaking my head going, you just can't believe some of the personal experiences that you have in these paranormal investigations that you literally can't explain these moments to people who've never, ever witnessed these things when they happen on command like they do.
So what was the scariest thing like you've ever seen, like both of you, TJ and Jason? What was it? Have you guys ever seen like a full-fledged apparition of like a person standing there, like visually with your eyes?
Yes.
What did that, was it see-through? Was it like a person?
I haven't.
Was it floating?
I've never seen anything like that, but I've seen a shadow on a wall that shouldn't have been there. I think my grandmother was standing in my kitchen, and I thought it was Jennifer. I asked her to get me something to drink, and she didn't respond, so I asked her again, and she didn't. I was like, okay. So I get up and I walk towards the kitchen, and there's nobody in there. So I walk into the bedroom, like, you could have, why couldn't you grab me something to drink and just, as you're on your way through, hand it to me. I asked nicely the first time is what I'm thinking in my head. And I walk in the room, and she's asleep, and my son's asleep. My daughters are not home. So I'm like, what? There was clearly a shadow on the wall. You know what I mean? I could have swore it was her, but it wasn't. That I actually called Jason when that happened.
Yeah, he did.
That was the first experience I had. And then, my wife and my two daughters have had several experiences in the home, which my grandmother was really close with my daughters and Jennifer. So I was like, I'm calling Jason because there's something not right here. Something's not right here. You know what I mean? I need to confide in my friend. Maybe he'll have some advice for me, and his advice was me like, don't you think it's cool that she's there? I mean, if it is her, he goes, I wouldn't want to come and investigate that. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. He goes, just let it be. And I just took comfort in that maybe my grandmother or my grandfather, whoever it was, is just hanging out, watching over us, So
yeah, so you didn't get a bad feeling when you saw the shadow because you have that pressure on your chest.
No, I didn't get a bad vibe at all. I was more mad that I was thirsty and I had to get up.
Well, this is what your wife.
That's what I was laughing about earlier. That's what I was laughing about when you were telling that story. I'm like,
thirsty and lazy.
When I asked your wife if you were moody, this is what she said about you.
Yeah. Spot on. That's my best friend. I mean, we've been dating since we were 14 years old. I mean, I'm 41 now. So, I mean, that's a lifetime with a person almost. That's longer than most people are together.
It is.
So,
and I knew Jen 2 years before he did.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Crazy.
So now for me, it's kind of a two-part question as far as scary situations. First of all, one of the most frightening situations I've ever been involved in was I was invited to sit in on an exorcism in upstate New York in 2000.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow,
And
that's crazy. Was there a priest?
oh yeah, there was 4 of them that were there. I mean,
Four
I had,
Catholic priests?
yep, they were Catholic. I had to
Oh my God.
fast. I had to be blessed. I had to do the whole 9 yards.
You had to be fast and be blessed to be a part of this?
I had to, yeah, I did. I had to be up. It was the only thing. It's the only thing that their only stipulation is you'll do as we ask.
I didn't know that the priest had a stipulation for people to stand in during an exorcism. This is really
Well, they're not quite as orthodox as they used to be.
okay. So what were the things you had to fast? Like what does that include? Like what
Not eating for 24 hours prior to the start of the exorcism. Basically,
and what's the point of that?
So he doesn't throw up pea soup.
Is that it? Or is that like your vibration has to be high? So
I wasn't really sure exactly what that was. I could have told you back then what it was for because I was deeply entrenched in the subject of exorcisms and demon possession. That was the only reason why I was there. Now, 2 of the Catholic priests were in their 60s and were part of the United States Old Catholic Church. Okay, they are
Roman Catholic or Orthodox Catholic?
Roman Catholic.
Okay.
And
Jesuits?
2 of them, yes.
Yeah.
The 2 older ones, Jesuit, yes. The 2 younger, no. Understudies.
Okay.
And then
understudies.
Yes, and then 2 other people that were in the room. One of them was the guy who invited me. The other one was a physician for the young adult. So this would have been the 5th exorcism that was attempted on this individual, and it was roughly about 2 hours long for this particular portion. Is the only thing I'd ever been part of. And the one thing that they told me is before that I came up there that I needed to absolutely be at peace with everything, and that one of the things that I needed to prepare myself for was for some of my dirtiest secrets to come out and be aired out in front of everybody. So I needed to be at peace with things because that's one of the stipulations of demon activity will literally be able to pick your mind and will put your dirty laundry out. And that's how that's a form of attacking during exorcisms.
So known about my Harry Potter obsession.
So now I will say this. It was very, very interesting. Okay. There was a transformation. It wasn't a bodily, physically transformation, but it was a lot of screaming. It was a lot of prayer. There's a lot of work that goes involved in that. I mean, it was exhausting to watch and be part of because I had a sheet. I had to also recite the rite of exorcism along with them, while everybody else in the room did the same. That to me, the implication of being in there with heavy hitters, real deal sluggers, as I would say, was it was a little unnerving. But the whole thing about it is that I was really, 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 really afraid about the after effects of being there. So that kind of haunted me for 3 or 4 months.
Did you have any experiences following that?
I didn't, not that particular time. I didn't, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But I had a super heightened sense of awareness though during that time. So if I heard anything immediately, I was thinking that, has something followed me? Have I been affected by this? Is that paranormal activity? What is that noise that I just heard?
Right.
So, my hypersensitivity was so heightened for months following that. I don't ever want to be in that situation again. We'll just put it that way. I don't
Thanks for letting us know about that. That sounds very frightening.
Well, it all depends on how you feel, and I'm still drawn on all of that, I walk a very, very fine line with
the light in the dark, right?
I do, but I can't deny what I saw, and it's.
So did whatever was coming through this person speak to you directly, like they were warning you about?
But spoke to the priest.
What did it say to the priest?
I'm not allowed to tell you what was spoken in there.
Okay. And it was all true about the priest, like stuff.
I don't know that I didn't interview the priest and say, hey, it was more vulgarity. I mean, it's not often that you would hear like an 18-year-old girl call, a group of priests cocksuckers and things like that.
Wow.
But there was a Southern drawl that came out. Like she would stop and then go into like a trance for 2 or 3 minutes. And then she would lift her head, and now she was speaking with a Southern tongue.
Wow.
And like an old Southern tongue, like a very, very
Right.
well-rehearsed Southern tongue. You know, she just flipped through personalities like 4 or 5 different occasions in that 2-hour period. And to me, it was astounding. I honestly couldn't. And then it come down to, is there actually a psychological disorder that can cause this?
Yeah.
You know, the belief in God system, demons, the whole 9 yards, the universe. It didn't help me.
Yeah.
It just led to a million more questions. And then the end result was I don't want to be part of it. I don't need to be part of it. I don't want to be part of it anymore. And as a paranormal investigator, if we ever thought that there was something that needed to be dealt with on a clergy standpoint, you know, we always made that work. We always, I mean, if it was something that needed to be blessed, a cleansing, something, it wasn't something that I do with my team, but I can certainly facilitate that at any one point in time for any of our customers.
All right. Well, we have a lot of questions coming through for you guys. So I don't want to leave anybody behind here. We got Sarah. Hey, Jason and TJ, we have a ghost in my in-laws' house. He is nice and just walks in the hallway. Does it mean he is stuck and can't cross over? Is there a way to help him?
It was like,
Go ahead, T.
sounds like a residual to me, just something like an impression, you know, just kind of a spirit or an energy kind of like replaying a moment in time over and over and over again is what it sounds like to me.
So what is that? Is that like just an energy recording? It's not really the spirit?
Yeah, it's basically like a playback. Like it's a piece
So
of.
where is the spirit then? Is the spirit crossed over and this is just an energy residual, or where is the soul of that person?
Just an energy of like a residual energy of that person. Maybe that person was very boisterous in life or whatever, but a real strong personality. Who knows? I mean, but just
Okay, so let me tell you a story. A guy gets up and goes to work every single day for 45 years. Okay. He gets up out of bed. He walks out of his bedroom. He walks right down to the hallway, goes past the second door, turns left and goes into the bathroom, comes out of the bathroom, goes into the kitchen. He does this for 40 years. The guy up and dies.
Right.
Wife goes in a nursing home. Somebody buys the house. Okay. At one point in time, the guy says, one time my wife and I are sitting down here watching TV and we see the door open and the door close and we see what we thought somebody turned in the corner, but then it just disappeared. Nobody was there.
Right.
Another day we saw the bathroom door open and close and nobody was there. But then we smelled coffee brewing in the kitchen before we got up. And we got up and obviously we were the only ones that brew coffee in the house. There was no coffee brewing, but we smelled it. We heard what sounded like somebody was out in the kitchen.
Just a moment in time. Just
a moment.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I could tell you too, like if there is a spirit, an earthbound spirit for me, when I do readings with people, the spirit for me, my explanation is that they have free will, whether they're going to stay earthbound or cross over.
Okay.
So most of the time they are either earthbound, they're in the middle level or what you call purgatory or many different levels in the middle. And then usually a spirit from the other side will need to come down and they kind of stand together when I see them in a reading and they're saying, okay, we're crossing this person over. But it really, the person is kind of attached or has unfinished business. That's kind of why they're kind of at the house. Maybe they're attached to the house or the people there or their routines, whatever it is. But they do have the free will to decide.
And that's just it, Sarah. I want to make sure that I tell you that, you know, TJ and I are quick to jump on the idea that it's a residual just simply because it's like, oh, he walks the hallway, because that's almost like the very first type that we see.
yeah.
But here's the thing: if you see that changing, and let's just say it is an intelligent, as we would call an intelligent haunting, meaning that it can communicate with you. It changes. It does what it needs to do.
It's its environment, anything like that.
Don't be afraid to speak out and tell them who you are and let them know it's okay to move on.
Right.
A lot of times it might be somebody who's lost. It might be somebody who's afraid to cross over. It might be, you know, I always tell people, just speak out, talk to them. That's the best thing that you can do. You know, so, I mean, and that's just it. I mean, and if you have somebody who's just walking the halls, it doesn't sound to me at all like you have somebody who's malicious or you know, malevolent in any sort of way whatsoever. So as long as you're okay with, you know, coexisting and cohabitating with it, I say just let them go.
to me, it doesn't sound like a lost spirit or someone that's stuck here or has unfinished business. It just sounds like an energy imprint on that particular property. That's what it sounds like to me. I
And
mean,
unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. When the conditions are right, it'll play itself out.
Yeah.
And then
So there's no way to clear that residual? I mean, is there a way to not have that same
to my
tape
knowledge,
play over and over again?
intelligent beings, yes.
Mhm.
But the residual, no, they'll play over
Really?
and
So
over again. Even if
nothing can make those go away?
a lot of times, no. Like even like when you see battlefields and things like that, you can think about the residual ghosts that are seen crossing over fields and things like that. I don't know that you can actually just take a conscious energy that's unintelligent and do something with it. It's going to be there and it's going to replay whether you want it to or not. Now, an intelligent entity would actually, I would think, and I would like to think, could have a little bit more control over that situation. You're able to cleanse that and cross and help that individual cross over.
Right.
Okay. So Regina has a question kind of piggybacking off of the first question. Do you guys help the spirits move on that you find are not residuals, or do you just document, hey, this is what's going on in this house? We just want to tell you the information.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't ever go into a location and document something, because here's the thing, what if you find something? You know, this family doesn't know anything more about resources than you do. So the thing is you have to honestly take these, these people are literally frightened. They're in their most precious place in their homes. There's children that are involved often at times. So if there is something that's there, you want to be able to have somebody you can reach out to do those cleansings,
Right.
Blessings, whatever it is. We don't do those cleansings. We don't do blessings of houses, but we will facilitate that.
So you have people that you can say, hey,
lots. Yeah.
'cause I can just imagine you come in and say, oh yeah, this positive house, you're active. And then they're like, okay, well, thanks. But like, what do we do with it?
Yeah. If you want spiritual guidance, a house cleansing, a paranormal
shake it
investigation.
up and open it and then leave. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's not good. It's not, so the last thing in the world you really want to do is tell a family, well, I hate to say it, but your home is haunted. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thanks for the evidence. See ya. You can't.
But here's the worst part about it is there are people out there who do that. For real. There really are. I mean, it's not a good thing. But the other thing is, though, too, I will be honest with you. We don't run into a lot of haunted locations, not as many as a lot of people would like to think. I'd say probably, you're welcome, Regina. Thank you for being in here today. I'd say that we actually gather evidence out of maybe 1 out of 7 cases, 1 out of 6 cases, we get hardcore evidence that doesn't require going back. In a general case can sometimes, for a residential case, could last up to 2 or 3 years. You have to, when you make a commitment to this family to figure this out, a lot of times it's a very long commitment. A lot of people. What's that?
You got to do your due diligence to sort it out for them.
If you're going to do it the right way, yeah, absolutely. Right. And you have to follow up.
Right.
Okay, there's a question from Elise, who is a friend of mine, and she's also a medium.
Hi,
and
Elise.
she's another, what I call a ghost hog, because wherever she is, I could have a gallery of hundreds of people and all the spirits in the readings will go to her. She just attracts them. So she has something going on in her house. We've had investigations at her house. We've put on tape recorders there. We've caught stuff. This was like 15 years ago, but I don't know if there's still stuff going on in your house, Elise. I don't remember you telling me that there was, but she has a question for you guys. Hi, Jason and TJ. I have a portal in my house and I have a lot of activity going on at the moment. Oh, well, I guess I didn't read that. Answer the question. It can be really active at times in the dorm for a while. What's the best way to deal with it?
Well, you have to make a decision on whether or not you always want to deal with it or not. Now, when it comes to portals, now you're speaking my language, but there's nothing that I can do about portals because I don't sense them. I'm not gifted. I know you are, however, though. So, I know that there's a possible a way to close portals, or a lot of people think that you can close portals if it's done. If you don't like dealing with it, I would seek somebody out who knows how to do that. But I'm not really too sure. What do you think about that, Marissa? Let me ask you that question.
What do I think about portals?
Portals. I mean, you can open them at will, sometimes unwillingly. Can you close them willingly?
for somebody who is as gifted as Elise is, where spirits are connected to her wherever she goes, I think it would be pretty hard for her to close that portal at the house. I think people are just, because the spirits that come through a portal, they're not necessarily even related to the person. It could just be, here's an open bar, everybody just come on in,
absolutely.
And so I personally think that her moving would probably be the best thing for her.
I would too, but here's the thing about you being gifted, Elise. No matter where you go, you're going to deal with it. Okay.
But not necessarily a portal everywhere she goes.
Right. Yeah. Maybe not to that extent, but you are definitely going to deal with the paranormal because you are obviously sensing those things on a much, much more higher level than many of us other people are. Move, get out of there. That's what I would do.
Because her and I have been talking about her moving for like a long time.
She's got a really nice view and she likes the place. I don't,
There's something I feel like that's attached, like attracting her there. That's like she wants to leave, but yet I feel there is like this feeling like she can't leave, almost like they don't want her to leave.
Right.
Very possible. They're used to her.
That's where it gets scary is when the influence of the entities actually make a profound impact on how you live your life. Then it's time to get out. Right. If you're being drawn to the house specifically because they want you to be, that's not a good situation to be in because you can't do anything about that.
Right. So should she keep having paranormal investigations or just keep
I'd leave it alone because all you're doing. I think that all you're doing is you're just calling the boys to the table every single time.
You're flipping the microphone on and you got the on-air sign up. You know what I mean? You're letting them come on down.
Giving them a platform.
Yeah, you're giving them a platform to talk on, kind of like this.
Okay, so you're saying that sometimes it's better not to have an investigation because it could amp up the activity?
I think to be honest with you, when you live in a house, the only time you should have a paranormal investigation is if you need to do a discovery. In other words, you need to figure out whether or not this place is haunted. In fact, you don't want to be messing around with investigating the paranormal in a place that you live because it does become restless. It can become restless.
Right.
Don't you guys go to mostly residential homes though? Because I see when I knew people who had these paranormal teams, it always seemed like residential people were calling them to their houses.
Yeah. Well, and we get, I don't know, I'd say probably 8 or 10 residential cases that come across my desk every year anymore. Used to be a higher volume. So when it comes to residential investigations here recently, I don't have the time to deal with them. I refer them out to other teams that I know will take good care of those individuals. For me right now in this stage of paranormal investigating, anything that we're doing are all in almost commercial establishments.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool. Well, this hour seems like it went by so fast.
It did. And we didn't even scratch the surface.
I know. And I really appreciate it. This is the first time for my viewers that we're having something so,
this is great because everybody seems to be having such a good time and the chat room is just alive tonight. So
I know. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming. I appreciate everybody on Facebook for continuing to watch and continuing to follow me as I build these themes and things that we're doing. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I've been telling you for a while, I have to figure out a split screen. I got to figure out how to bring people on. And you know what? I thank Jason and TJ for that because I wouldn't have known how to do this if I got a Instagram message randomly saying, hey, there's a couple of window cleaners who do this paranormal investigation show. They really like to have you on and talk about spirits and ghost stuff. I'm like, all right.
Richie Blue.
We got to give him
we love that guy to death.
We got to give him a shout out. And then I just upped the lounge for you guys. And I took the last 3 days to research platforms because the one that TJ had is a little bit of a steeper learning curve. So I picked a one that was kind of easy to maintain. Give you a link, come on the show.
It sounds good. So I think you did well.
All right. Thanks.
Absolutely. Yes. Everything has been fantastic. And we do appreciate you having us on your show. It has been nothing but a pure delight tonight. So you have some great followers.
Yes.
Thanks. I love all of my followers. They've been watching this since the beginning. This started with me walking down the street with the wind in my hair saying, hey, what's up, guys? This is what's going on during the pandemic. And now we have this like produced thing, and it's just going to keep getting better. And it's like, thanks to you guys that, you've helped me to figure out like how to do this.
That's awesome. Well, we're happy to be part of it. TJ and I always try to reach out and help whenever possible. So
Yes.
we're happy. We're happy for you. And now we'll make sure that we tune in each and every single week so we can watch you on the new platform also.
I didn't promise once a week. Does this mean now that I got this going on, are you guys all going to expect that I'm going to have a show on every week now, the lounge every week? I guess that's what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, well, you should. Are you going to use this format for the porch in the office now?
No, the lounge is this looks like this could be the lounge. I mean, this looks like it could be.
I feel like it is the lounge.
It is the lounge. Beautiful. I mean,
there's a lounge behind you. I feel like I could lounge in that area behind you. I mean, just lounge.
Well, before it was me talking to myself in the lounge. So I think that now it's about like, I wish that I had people to riff off of, on the porch. I can't bring this setup on the porch. Like there's no way to do that. Right. And maybe the office.
We got a few people out there have some questions. How does somebody go about getting a reading from you?
Okay. Here's the deal. I'm on a wait list. Okay. However, the good news is that you have the same opportunity to get a reading that anybody else does. So somebody could have been on a year, you get on today. We send out the digital wait list when there's cancellations, reschedules, openings, because I'm booked pretty far out. But it's kind of like first come, first serve. So if you're the one who gets the email first, you jump on the appointment. It could be immediate, So people get mad because they're like, I try to get on there, they're all gone. I can't obviously control that, but I want everybody to have the same opportunity. So you just email us at info@connectionbeyond.com. We'll put you on the wait list, and then we send those out. So
you could be on a really long wait list, or an opportunity can open up the day after tomorrow. You just never know. You just got to be quick.
Well, there's competition from everybody else that wants to jump on it quickly. Just know that the appointments go within about 2 minutes. They're all gone.
Maybe they could just be a guest on your show, and you can just like you did Jason, get a free one, get a freebie.
Well, the thing is, I can't guarantee that. I didn't know what's going to happen. The spirit just has to come. It's not like the McDonald's drive-through, where I just order the spirit of, hey, give me a number one value meal on your road. Right. You know what I mean? So it's just it really doesn't really work that way.
Right.
But I don't know if I told you. See, now you guys are talking, and now all this stuff's happening. We don't know. I think we're done.
Oh, let's do it. Right. That's what we were trying to end the show the last time when you were coming through. So what are you getting now?
I just in the last 30 seconds, because it's probably somebody yelling at me, but I kept getting a Tony or Anthony connection. So I don't know who has that. It may be somebody in the chat room. And if somebody has that, please give us a comment. Is it for one of you guys, living or past?
No,
the closest thing to a Tony or Anthony would that would be a very, very old ancestor of mine who I never even knew. But
that's okay. He's still dead, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. He's been dead a long time, and his name was Antonio.
Okay. Yeah. Now. Oh, look, we have the ghost hog, right? The ghost hog, of course, of everybody here. Somebody comes through for the ghost hog. Who's Tony to you, at least? Oh, your grandpop is Tony. All right.
Hey.
There you go. Well, Elise, either he's coming through for you I just get a sense. See, I get a sense this is going to be real weird. This is a really weird message that I'm getting here. Okay. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. I feel like Jason and Elise have to talk. There's something that has to be I feel like Jason and Elise, there's either a message Elise has for Jason and something Jason has for Elise. But I feel like this Tony guy is kind of saying, hey, the two of you have to come together because you guys are moving through.
Elise, hit me up on Facebook. Hit me up on Facebook. Lindsay says she's got a Tony as well.
No, this is Elise and you. This is the message I'm getting. Two of you. Okay. I have to connect the two of you. There's a reason. Maybe next week we're going to bring Elise on, and we're just going to both read you at the same time. That might even get crazy. But then you have one medium reading, and now you're going to have two.
Now I want to run.
I am getting that now. Okay, so here's the deal. now this is where we're going to play the game of ping pong. Okay. I tried to end the show. I don't have any control over this. This is what happened.
I mean, I've got time. You're good.
Okay.
You're
So
fine.
the Tony that's coming through to me is talking about a tree being diseased or needing to be cut down. There's a tree or something in the yard that needs to be cut down. So do you have that, Jason?
No.
Elise, do you have that? Is there a tree situation in your yard? I have to wait for her to respond.
Well,
She's not responding yet. So, Elise, do you have a tree situation or a tree that was cut down that was significant? I have to wait till she responds. And then I'm also getting the name. Oh, okay. Elise does. Okay, so I guess it's for her. Okay, so they're saying that the tree is diseased, needs to be cut down. So I'm telling you, when the ghost talk comes on, everybody else is out. But I do feel, let's see. Okay, they cut some trees. All right. So your grandpa Tony is saying that you must get this tree down because if not, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Okay, so make sure that you get that taken care of. I'm also getting the name George. Either one of you, George, Elise. How about you guys, George, living or past?
No George for me.
no.
Okay, Elise has all the tree situations. Elise, do you have a George? See, it's hard because there's a delay here with my comments. Where
Yeah.
Jason, I don't have a delay with you.
I have a dead tree next to my house.
No, I think this is for the Tonys.
George. Yeah, George. Do you have a George? Does she have a George?
All she said was George. So I don't know what that means, if she has a George or not. I'm trying to get back and forth quickly, but okay. Yes, she does. My daughter
Thank you,
does.
Michelle. I appreciate it, Michelle. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us tonight. Okay.
All right.
Elise says my daughter's grandfather. So
Godfather, it says, right? Okay, is he dead? Is he passed on, Elise? Okay, so Michelle is loving this. Thank you, Jason and TJ, for joining us in the lounge. Thank you, Michelle. I'm trying to do readings here, but as you can see, Rachel's godfather. Okay, cool. Well, he's coming through too with Tony. Okay, so, and he's congratulating Rachel. He's saying congratulations. So there's something that he's very proud of her for, and he's saying she's going to be doing very well. So I just wanted to give you that.
that's pretty cool.
He's not passed away.
Okay, he's here. So would Tony be the one giving us this information? So hard with this delay. His father passed. Okay. All right. So this is him coming through, very proud of Rachel. So I have to let you know that. All right. Well, it's harder when these comments are coming through. I haven't done this before. So
Yeah.
I need like an immediate response.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, Jason,
What's up?
I have to put you in touch with Elise. That's what I'm feeling for sure.
Yes. You can do that.
All right.
She can either look me up on Facebook and hit me up on Messenger, send me a message, or you have my contact information, right? You can just
Yes, I'll put you guys in touch.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to do this a little bit faster for the people in the chat room. Maybe I could bring people on and have them, like, if I need to read them, give them a link or something.
Go to Walmart, buy a cell phone with its own number, and then they can just text that cell phone or call that cell phone. That's what I would do. That's what I do on my other show.
Yeah.
Okay,
You don't want to open up that can of worms.
A separate phone just from Wally World that you can.
I'll figure it out. I had to figure out enough for this one tonight, but I'm glad that I think that's the whole next step.
I think you did really good. This is really awesome.
I need the graphics up here. See the graphics, the lounge.
Looks really nice.
These little graphics. So I appreciate you guys coming. This was
Thank you
a
for
lot of
having
fun.
us.
Thanks for having us on.
And everybody that's listening and watching, go check out the Firelands podcast on Facebook and iTunes and Podbean and YouTube. Just search the Firelands podcast. Check
And
us
when's
out.
your next podcast? When's it coming on?
It'll be this Sunday.
Okay, and is it at night, in the day?
It'll be 9 p.m. Sundays at 9 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time. Yep, live on the YouTubes.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big fan of you guys, and
We're a big fan of yours.
We're a big fan of yours, Marissa. You were totally awesome. You've been a great guest and a wonderful host. So we greatly appreciate you.
Thank you. You guys really helped me. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this tonight. So
well, if you ever want to do it again, let us know.
Yeah, just
that's the question for you. If you want to do it again,
well, we very might do that. Very might as well do that, because I'm going to tell you right now, the response that we got from you being a guest on the show the other day was astronomical. Our followers absolutely loved having you on. And there's so much unfinished business. We didn't even really get into what you do. Yeah. And so as an afterthought, there was so much more that I wanted to, but there just wasn't an hour of time just isn't enough to cover.
Right. I'm interested to see the Elise Jason show. That's what I want to see.
All right. Well, it's up to Elise and Jason. They want to come on, and next time for the lounge.
I want to tie these threads together here.
I'm willing to do it. Just let me know.
Because if you have the two of us on there, it's not. You're gonna really be red. Believe me.
I'm in there like swimwear.
And then I'm just gonna have just for the comic relief and for the laughter the whole time, because it's just awesome.
Right. Yeah, I know, right? I know. Like the paranormal thing is like mainly mine versus his as far as interest and following and all this, that, or the other. But all of my people like him more.
Thanks, Connie. Thank you.
Come on, man.
All right.
Everybody's always like, that TJ's so funny. I'm like, well, geez, thanks.
Hey, here, Elise says she's in. I mean, here's the confirmation. It's right here.
Well, just let me know on a date. Let's put it down.
Oh, okay. So this is a confirmation to all of you out there watching on Facebook. They're confirmed.
How about next Friday? We'll put you on the spot. We'll put you on the spot right now. We'll just get it. Go ahead and get it on the calendar.
All right. Ghost Hog number 1, Ghost Hog number 2, and Jason being the victim of the Ghost Hogs.
That's all right. I'm all right with it. I trust you.
All right. Well, I wouldn't hurt you.
Well, I know that.
So Elise may hurt you. You just don't know. She's tough. She's tough.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to get a reading on Elise from a profile picture, but she don't look like she messes around.
Okay, Lindsay, is this your friend Lindsay? She's saying you should do it.
Yes, Lindsay is an amazing friend of mine. Absolutely. And yeah, I will do it. I'll do it, Lindsay. I'm on.
Awesome.
All right,
I'm on board.
All right. Well, who knows? I don't ever plan what's going to happen during these shows, as you know.
Right.
So I'm going to bring you guys on, and we're just going to see. I'm going to have a little talk with Elise on how we can manage you there. So, and TJ, you're welcome to come back. And
yeah. I mean, I'll sit here and laugh and stuff. I'll do that.
All right. That sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. And thanks for everybody for being here on our mothership inaugural maiden voyage lounge live on video and split screen. Thank you.
Thank you for having us on. Thanks, everybody.
I guess we'll see you next Friday at 9. We didn't know that, but that's what we're doing. See you next week.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.